Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be covering a new legendary that's going to be starting this weekend as a Fragment summoning event. So I'm going to do a full reveal, give you all the grades for that legendary, and give you everything you need to know heading into this weekend. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so first things first, I will show you the quick little video that Raid put out to tease this legendary. If you haven't seen it, we will go ahead and pop that up now so you can be in the know. Alrighty, so pretty cool there, just a little silhouette, shadowy figure, but the good news for you is this champion was teased a little bit while ago in like a data mining thing that people were able to get a hold of. I did a video on it back then when we first saw this champion. I covered it, but now we're going to dive into more detail, grade her in all the different areas, show you the aesthetic and all of that stuff. Then we'll have a discussion about if she's probably going to be worth it or not and all of that. So without further ado, let's get that popped up. And this is the little graphic I put together for Kreela Witch Arm. Now remember, this is subject to change. This is not officially endorsed by Plarium, and it is possible that some numbers, some base stats, some abilities can change a little bit. This is not in the game, so we don't know it's 100% for sure going to be true, but it usually is pretty close or even 100% perfectly accurate, so we can probably base most of our opinions on this champion. The only problem is we don't know the multipliers, which is a pretty big deal. We don't know how hard she hits. We can't test it. We don't know how her abilities scale. She's an attack champion, so we don't know the multipliers in terms of her skill multiplying against her attack score for how hard she's going to hit. We don't know that yet, but we know 90% of what we would need to know in order to deduce if this champion's going to be any good or not. So let's go ahead and get everything run down first. We've got base stats that are a little bit low. 99 is not terrible for speed, but it's a little on the low end for a legendary. Then we've got base HP of 16,700 or so. Again, slightly low for a legendary. But the defense is decent at 1222 for an attack champion. Usually attack champions are somewhere in like that 800 to 1100 range. So her defense is okay, but the HP is a little bit low. And the attack is not super incredible for an attack type champion. But remember, we don't know how good that is until we see the multiplier. So the multiplier is way more important than the actual number of the attack score. So if she has an amazing multiplier, a base attack of 1200 is better than having a crap multiplier and a base attack of 1500. So until we know the multiplier and how hard she hits, we don't know if that attack rating is good or bad. So as we go over the kit, we've got an A1 that attacks one enemy, places a shield buff equal to 10% of this champion's max HP on the ally with the lowest HP for 2 turns. So pretty reliable sustain if you've got a DPSer in a dungeon, fight, a sustained battle, faction wars, dungeons, all that sort of stuff. She can constantly place a shield on your ally with lowest HP. Could also be decent in the clan boss and the arena as well, so not a bad A1. Then we've got the A2 that attacks one enemy, places a stun debuff for 1 turn, has an 80% chance that we can book up to 100% of teaming up with 3 random allies to attack a random enemy. Allies joining the attack will use their default skills. So this is going to be really famous, the Blender Blitz type ability. You've got Lonicus the Chosen, Longbeard is the most famous one, Catacomb Counselor, people that join up with allies to nuke the enemy team. That has become really, really popular in the arena. Within the last 2 or 3 months, we're seeing these teams pop up everywhere. In 3v3 rosters, a lot of your endgame players are having one Blender comp. It's really showing up a lot in the gold leagues of Arena. So becoming super popular, and Kreela is going to slot right into that role, and placing a stun on whoever you target. You can book it up to 100% on the chance to team up with 3 random allies, which means in the arena, that's everybody because you only have a team of 4. She's going to team up with all 3. They're going to use their default abilities. And then that leads us in to our A3, which is going to place a 50% increased attack buff and a 30% increased crit rate buff on all allies for 3 turns, then AoE. So that's pretty cool. 3 turns is an eternity for a buff. Typically, buffs are 2 turns, so we're going to get a lot of attack and a lot of crit rate for 3 turns, which in an arena context is basically permanent. We can book that to a 4-turn cooldown, which for an ability that impactful is not that bad, honestly. 3 turns would probably be a little bit too good. 4 is probably about right for an ability like that. Now, what does this mean? This means that we can build comps where champions have 70% crit rate, because 3 turns is pretty good. When it's 2 turns, it's a little bit less reliable, and you still probably want to go 100% crit rate on your DPSers. But if we're getting 3 turns, that's pretty reliable crit rate buffing, and that's going to allow us to wear crit damage gloves on our damage dealers that much easier. So a pretty solid ability there. And then when we go through the grades, we've got Clan Boss of 3. I mean, she does place a little bit of shield with the A1, but the stun doesn't do anything against the Clan Boss. The using default abilities can be cool, and then the crit rate and the attack can help for certain comps, but so she's all right. She's just not really good. I could probably give her a 3 or a 4 in the Clan Boss. The Arena, I gave her a 9. If you're using her in a blender context, you could almost make the case that she's a 10. But yeah, gonna be pretty solid, and you're gonna be able to build some decent arena teams around her. XP farmer, she doesn't have a whole lot of AoE. She got the 1 AoE ability, so not the type of speed clearing champion we would want. And then teaming up with allies obviously does nothing in an XP farming context. Faction Wars gave her a 7. She'll be fine there. That stun, teaming up with allies, placing shield. She doesn't have any sort of a revive or lots of defense buffing or anything like that. So not like S tier for Faction Wars, but she'll be solid. Dragon, it's typically a speed farming dungeon. She boosts attack and crit rate, and she teams up with allies to nuke stuff down. Gave her a 9. She'll be fine there. Spider, I could see her being okay, because again, you bring people she synergizes with on the A1, you could do some cool things possibly, but not going to be amazing. Fire Knight, you can nuke down that shield with those default abilities. We've seen people use Longbeard and stuff like that in the Fire Knight, but she does have the single hit A1, so not going to give her an amazing score. Gave her a 6 there. The Ice Golem, you got to be careful on wave 2 about nuking yourself off of the reflect damage. So buff strip and more sustained type champions are typically the more S tier champions in the Golem, but she'll be fine. Gave her a 7. And I'll start running through these guys. I don't want to take too long. Minotaur, she'll be fine. It's similar to the Dragon, where you want to just nuke it down, so she's all right there. And then she's all right in the keeps of 8, 7, 5, and then 9 and 9 on the Arcane and the Void, because those ones are pretty straightforward and don't have special mechanics like the shield of the Magic Keep, the anti-healing of the Spirit Keep, and then the huge defense that you want to lower in the Force Keep. But that one's a little bit more straightforward, like the Arcane and the Void. So she'll be all right. Mostly looking like pretty solid grades and generally useful. She's, in my opinion, she's not going to be any sort of like S tier champion. She's not going to be a Siphi, Rotos, Krisk, anything like that, but she looks pretty solid. There's about 90 legendaries. She'll probably be somewhere in like the 25th to 40th best legendary, somewhere in there. You can do some fun things with her, but not quite S tier like top 10 or anything like that, but definitely not a trash can like War Chief and Candrafon and Tila Gormain, which, funny enough, she actually looks very similar to Tila Gormain in the Oryx. If I go ahead and pull her up, I'll show you that. Let me put this graphic away, and we will pull up Tila in the Oryx, Tila Gormain here. And then if we pull up Kreela, I'll slide this over. You can see they look a lot similar, but her sister Kreela is a lot better as of right now. So let me fix this back here. And yeah, let's put a bow on this. So remember, it's going to be a fragment summoning event, and so there's going to be multiple different events going on. We don't know the exact structure of how exactly the points are going to be distributed and what the events are going to be. Are they going to be champion training? Are they going to be dungeon divers? We don't know exactly how it's going to be structured, but look forward to that starting this weekend. They're going to be announcing that on Friday here in a couple days, is what we're kind of being told, and should be something fun to kind of pursue. Even if a champion is not S tier, you do want to go for it if it's realistic to do so, because you never know when a legendary is going to turn into Dracomorph or Masha Led and get super buffed and become all of a sudden a top 10 legendary out of nowhere. So I don't believe she's a top 10 legendary as of right now, but she's pretty solid, and I think for most players out there, they could do some fun things with her and get some utility out of her. But yeah, I will put a link to that infographic down in the description if you want to be able to pull her up and take a look at everything yourself. And remember, definitely, you know, my grading and my first impressions are not necessarily always right. I'm sure a lot of you out there will disagree on certain areas, and that's more designed to start a discussion, to get something out there and let you guys talk. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I underselling her? Am I overselling her? How would you have graded her in the different areas? I really enjoy reading your guys' input down below, so let me know what you agree on, what you disagree on, and all that good stuff, and look forward to that starting this weekend. So as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.